Can see all the attendees just joining us, and a very warm welcome to the second in our series of Keep Calm And. My name's Gemma, for those of you who don't know me, but I think I know most of you, which is absolutely brilliant. The reason we started to do this series is because we felt my family are moving around me right now, so I'm just trying to get them all to move into the other room so I can focus. But the reason we decided to do this series is because we at the Marketing Society, as we moved into this new normal, kept on talking about the slogan "Keep calm and carry on," and that's absolutely how we're feeling at the moment. You know, we've got to keep calm, we've got to keep positive, and as a society, we want to provide platforms for this new normal and to do things differently. So we started it last week, and we had great success with Chris Barris-Brown. Keep calm and get creative. So this week we have Keep Calm and Get Inspired, and at the end of this show, I will share with you what we're doing next time. And there's noise out in my garden. I guess this is the new normal. This is what happens, right? And as you can see in my background, there's artwork in the back, which is my 4-year-old, Joshi, and he may come into picture as well, but that's what we're all experiencing now, and I guess that is life. So, as you know, we have been leading a Brave agenda across all of our hubs since 2017, when I first became Chief Executive. And so everything we do is through a Brave lens, and this last year is all about being brave together, and right now that couldn't feel more apt. So looking for speakers is something that we take incredibly seriously, and think about who are the right people to inspire and to energize, and to get us all thinking in different ways. And Jaz couldn't be a better speaker for us all right now. She is incredible. She's got so many tools and takeaways and brilliant things that she's going to share with you, and I just did a call with her earlier, and I was writing down furiously, so make sure you have your pen and your pad in front of you. But just to give you a bit of background on Jaz, if you don't know her, she spoke at our Brave conference in 2018, and she had a standing ovation. She was that good. You know how you're powerful as your stories. Imagine if you could be 10% braver. That's what Jaz is all about. Say goodbye to imposter syndrome for good, and embed ambitious resilience. That's what Jaz does. She leads people, she inspires people. And I think she's going to inspire all of you. So over to you all, and I'll see you at the end. Thanks very much. Jaz.
Hey, just sorting out my camera so I can make sure I can see everybody. And everyone can see my awesome t-shirt, Fear Less, which is really where we're living right now. So first off, just want to check that everybody can hear me and everybody is there. So if you've got chat open, if you haven't, go down to the bottom or swipe left if you're on a tablet or mobile, find the chat button. And when you type something in chat, when you push send, you can either send it to all panelists or to all panelists and attendees. Make sure it's all panelists and attendees so that everybody can see it. So just asking people to go to chat and to say hello. Caroline can hear me. Rock on. Hey, Elizabeth. Jerusalem. I was there back in the old world when we could travel. Do you remember that time? Yes, I was there. Jerusalem's amazing. Good morning, Lewis. Good morning, Charlie. Hello, lovely. Well, thank you for that. How are you all doing? Thank you for saying hello and jumping in chat there. I know that we've used the phrase. Well, here's my first tip. People are using the phrase unprecedented like they've just discovered the word. And what I like to do when I see unprecedented in the newspaper or an article, I switch it out for bonkers, because then it just makes me laugh during these bonkers times, unfortunately. So that's my first tip. The word unprecedented is being used too much. Secondly, welcome Generation C, because that's what we are now. You know, you have like baby boomers and Generation X. Seth Godin has coined the term Generation C. Generation COVID-19, sure, but also generation creativity, generation compassion for yourself as well as others, generation connectivity, generation complexity, generation challenge, choice, change. There are some great words that begin with C. And during this time, we get to choose what we want to invest in. And that's really what I want to unpick and talk about. So my first kind of thing is, like, just be honest, just be honest. Who has spent any time at all just being plain scared right now? If you have, type yes I have, or yes, or me, or back at you, girl, in chat. Who's experienced fear during this time? Fear for your family, fear for, oh, hell yes, says Marilsa. Fear for your job, fear for, I mean, back at you, girl. Look, can you, if you have, and you're not brave enough to put down that you have, can you just look at the chat? Can you see how many people have experienced fear? So the good news is you're not special, yeah? You're not unique. You're not alone. We're all living there right now. And this is good. Yeah, losing your family, absolutely. I've got a lot of friends in education who are in school every day, looking after key worker kids so the country can keep going. They're afraid. They're afraid that, you know, they're facing people every day. We don't know what's going to happen. When restrictions become serious, I know certainly seeing the Operation Nightingale in the big hospital in London Excel, you know, that gave me pause to see that and see the amount of beds and think, who do I know who's going to be in there? So the reason I'm asking about fear is because this is not something, usually when we have a fear, we kind of like, oh, brush it off. Oh, it's probably okay. This is real. This is where we are. And because this time is so full of fear, letting fear drive your bus is the one thing that will take you completely off track. Not just with the work you seek to do and the desire you seek to achieve in your life at work, but also for you as a person, you as a human, you as the connected family person, you know, with your friends, your family, your children, your partners. Letting fear drive your bus is a really dangerous thing to do, just on a normal day, but especially now. Because we've got different things that we can do when it comes to being scared. This is also a time when fear comes up to remind you that there's an opportunity to reframe, an opportunity to pivot, an opportunity to reimagine what life could be like. Here's what I'm doing. This is, someone asked me the other month, I feel like I've been in isolation for years. Someone asked me the other year, when this is over, what regrets will you have? What will you regret not doing? And I thought, you know what I want to say to that? I want to say nothing. So I have chosen, instead of fear, I choose to live my life in the way that my future self will say, do you know what? Looking back, that's exactly what I would have done. Because we're writing the story that we're going to tell after this is over right now. And I don't want my story to be, I completely gave in to fear. I was terrified. My children picked up on it. My partner picked up on it. It was a tough time for all of us. I hated it. I don't want to take one of the biggest opportunities and challenge of complexity of the 21st century and spend it hiding under my bed. I don't want to do that. So what's your choice? Because fear is a choice. It's not an automatic reaction. It's an instinct. It's a tendency, but it doesn't have to be automatic. You can life hack it. Fear is going to keep you playing small. It's going to reduce your impact, or you can choose not to let fear drive your bus. And then all we have to do is choose what we want to replace it with. So how does that sound in terms of, well, first of all, what would your future self in a year's time, when we're looking back on this, what would you regret not doing? What do you think you'd miss out on if you didn't do it now? What would you regret? Go with your gut on this. Don't think, oh, let me get some deep and meaningful. Just what would you regret? Like, one thing for me is I've always wanted to play the piano. So I never have time. Oh, here I am suddenly with a little bit of time because my entire diary has been cleared. So I can choose to invest in that. So let's have a look. Not being creative enough in the time that I have. Yeah. Not being creative at all. What some people do when they're scared is like, let's just knuckle down and do what we've always do. They're going to survive mode. Hold on. Like this. We're just focusing on the problem. Let's just work harder. Let's just do more. That didn't work for you before when we had a normal. That didn't work then. You were knackered all the time. You were bitter and twisted and hateful to your family. And you wondered why you were doing it half the time. Why would you do that now? We need like higher level working now. Reading more books, spending time doing the time I love, spending time with family, not taking the chance to exercise. Sadly, getting fit. Yeah, being fully present rather than just waiting for it to end. Eli, you're my favorite nameless person in a group right now. Not spending adequate time with my son. You know the thing about being present? People talk about being present and they say it's a really good thing. We should all be present. But if you've sat with someone who's dying, who you love, if you've ever watched someone give birth, being present is physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausting because you're in the moment the whole time. You're blocking off everything that's automatic and living in the moment. It's exhausting, which is why what's important during this time is that you plan all 5 of the sort of states of being we can have. Because the truth is, you know, we don't have well-being. Remember when well-being was an optional extra? You know, back in the days where I miss Brexit. Don't you miss Brexit? When that was the biggest thing that was happening. Back in those days when well-being was an optional extra that you can engage with or not engage with, that's gone. Well-being doesn't exist anymore. It's just called being, and we're all involved in it. Like before, some people had the luxury of saying, oh, I haven't really dealt with any, I don't really have any mental health issues. Well, try locking yourself in your house for 4 weeks with your family. You're going to have issues then, but it's not mental health. It's just health. It's how do you keep yourself going and retain a healthy mindset during this time? So first thing I want to kind of cover, I know Brexit does seem very simple, doesn't it? It's like, bring back Brexit. I never thought I'd say that. Good gravy. First thing I want to cover is there are 5 types of capital that you can invest in during this time. And I want you to choose which ones you're going to invest in on this call. I want you to make a commitment to yourself now. Do that for you. Here's the first one, financial capital. They get increasingly more valuable as they go on. Financial capital feels like it's the be all and end all right now because we're losing jobs or getting paid less or seeing work disappear. But actually it's the lowest form of capital because you can make millions and lose it. You can have nothing and win the lottery. I mean, it's so kind of come and go, but I know at the minute it feels all encompassing. The next level up, the next number 2, really, when it comes to capital that you can choose to invest in is intellectual capital. Quite a few of you were talking about studying or learning something, or I don't know, making sourdough bread, for crying out loud, that sort of stuff. It's investing in your own intellectual self or your emotional intelligence because if you've got intelligence, if you've learned a skill, learned a new course, not only are you more valuable to your employer, you also have the opportunity to inspire and you know, embed creativity in others. So you're making yourself marketable all round. You're enhancing your skills, which means you can always generate income. So if you focus on just financial, that's going to be a lot of worry. If you focus on intellectual, you can take it up. Anna says, my husband has learned how to make flatbread. Could you pop some in the post? Because I've been trying to learn how to make sour bread and I'm on loaf 3. And guess what? No one's eaten it yet. So yes, learning takes trial and error. I'm in the error phase. The third capital that you can invest in is physical. Imagine you're loaded, right? You've got loads of money, no problems to worry about, and you're really intelligent. You've done a lot of stuff on, you know, kind of reading around. You're all there, but you're lying on a bed with a respirator in order to breathe. How useful is your financial capital and your intellectual capital in that moment? It's not. This, more than ever, is a really good time to invest in your physical health. And yes, of course, I mean mental too. Everything that keeps you running. Because you can choose to give your all at work and liberate people through work, but completely abdicate in your own personal life. You can just give up. You can. Lots of people before were liberating at work, but will come home and be just, I don't know, I don't really get involved with the kids or what happens, I'm doing this. And now suddenly we're all in the same space. Your physical health, it's not a like nice to have. Now is the time to really invest in keeping yourself well for the people who love you, because they are relying on you to turn up 100% you. This isn't, oh, I feel selfish because I'm doing a workout or I'm doing a bit of yoga. Selfish. This is how we continue. I can tell the people who are committed to caring because they're taking care of themselves. If you say you care, but you're not doing anything for you right now, physical, mental health, then I'm calling you out on it. Teaching yoga to friends, learning how to meditate, learning Spanish. Hola, that's all I know. What else? What else are you learning? What else have you learned during this time? What have you picked up on? What is it that you're doing that's different that you didn't do before? My stock phrase now is people say, hey, can I meet you for a chat or can I jump on a Zoom? And I say, let me check my diary. Oh yeah, I'm free. Because my diary is suddenly completely empty, which is a huge opportunity to connect and grow. Learning about reinvention, loads of people offering little Zooms like this. Scrabble and Uno with the flatmates. Oh my gosh, you cannot beat a decent game of Uno. What you got to do there is you've got to play with a kid and you've got to play to win. Don't let them win. I play with my 8-year-old. I am taking the boy down when it comes to Uno. No mercy. It's so much fun. Linking more with family. Yeah, I mean, it's that whole thing. We all know it. No one's going to get to their deathbed and go, oh, I wish I'd sent more emails. We're all going to think, oh, I wish I spent more time with family. And yet here we are with the opportunity. And we're still doing what we always do because fear is driving our bus. So this is what I'm talking about, how the power of choice is so powerful. Your 6-year-old beats you. That's embarrassing, Nick. You should practice more. I don't know what you're doing, but that's embarrassing. Actually making phone calls and hearing family and friends' voices, not texting. Yeah, I've got a list of people who I just want to, people I'd miss. The list, honestly, the list was called people I'd miss if they were dead. So I made a list, got got fairly long. And then I just started calling people. And I said, oh, hi, you're on my list of people I'd miss if they were dead. So I thought I'll call, see how you are, which starts off great. But it's just, I've connected with people that I usually don't have time. Or the reality is I don't prioritize the time. I don't invest in that time. Here's the fourth one. We've had financial, 10 times greater than that, more, better to invest in, more valuable is intellectual. 10 times better than that, to the power of 10 again, is physical. And here's number 4, which is huge, relational capital. 1, if you run your own business, if you're in marketing, if you have clients, then your clients are going to remember what you did for them during this time. Like, we're going to remember what Gemma did during this time is seek to serve and seek to support. That's a huge amount of relational capital. So investing in the relationships you have, not just because later on they'll buy stuff from you, but because right now, that's what friends do. We pretend we have this, you know, work, friendship, relationship with people. But when times get hard, friends are there for each other. They stand up for each other. So right now I've looked at, okay, I speak to thousands in my old life. I used to speak to thousands of people every week. And that will be the case again when it starts up again. I had like breadth. I had lots of people, but what I didn't have was depth. I didn't have like deep conversations with people because I didn't have time. So I've made a list of 12 people, like I'm Jesus. I've got long hair. I've made a list of 12 people who I want to invest in mentoring and really helping them see the full potential of what they've got, because I know that those people make a huge difference to other people. So that's my kind of relational project that I'm doing. What relationships could you invest in? Where could you invest? Answer in chat. Lynn says, you've taught your 87-year-old mother to use FaceTime. How awesome. How you get to 87 and then you suddenly think, I'm going to master some technology. What a reframer your grandma is. Kudos to her. Yeah, what do you want to invest in? What sort of things do you want to invest in? What relationships do you want to invest in? While you're thinking about that, I'll tell you about number 5, spiritual. Now, that could be faith. It could be the idea of community. Really, it's the idea that there's something bigger than you and you're connected to that. So it could be your why, your purpose. It could be a group, a community. It could be your allotment gang. You know, it could be faith, but something bigger than you that you can draw energy from. That's the greatest capital that we have from ourselves, being able to be comfortable with who we are, whatever situation we find ourselves in. My sons, they are adult and they've left the room, but they're back now. Hey, Liz's sons, how are you doing? Good to not see you, but know that you are well. Thank you for keeping your mum going during this time, because I tell you, the kids right now have suddenly become a real gift, right up until the point where they annoy you, and then they're back to being regular children. Who are you connecting with? Your sons, kids with their cousins in South Africa who they don't know? Awesome. My amazing partner, teacher, sent me an oil diffuser and we're doing yoga together from our homes to keep in touch. There's something special about that, isn't there? Because that will never be forgotten. The other day I taught my youngest, I've got 3 kids, feels like 8. I've got 3. I taught my youngest to use a sewing machine, and I sat with him as he made this bag for his iPod, watching him focus and concentrate. And I suddenly realized, this is one of the moments that is going to flash before my eyes when I die. This is so special. This is one of the relationship moments that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. And all it was me and Leo on a sewing machine. That's what I want to invest in. That's the story I want the future me to tell about what I did now, because that's the script we're writing. Also, just one quick thing when we're talking about this, about remote working. Working from home and remote working are not the same thing, right? I run my business from my phone. I've done it for, I don't know, years. I am a remote worker. That's how I live. But working from home when you're not used to it, not the same. And here's why. When we're at work, we know we're going to be with people. We know at some point we'll be in the toilet with Deborah and we'll be talking about hair. We know at some point we'll be at the tapas bar later with Samir and we'll be chatting about the state of current affairs. We know these things will happen, so we don't plan for them. Those things are emotional connection elements in our life. So we have physical connection because we get up, we get out and we meet people, but the emotional connections happen as a result of the physical connection. What's happened now is the physical connection has been taken away. So we will not have emotional connection unless we plan for it. Emotional connection it's not chatting on a Zoom or being present on Zoom. It's actually saying at the beginning of a call, let's spend some time where we're in third gear together. We're present, we're chatting, we're just connecting. Let's do that. Then let's move on to what we're talking about. Or reaching out like we've been doing, reaching out to your 92-year-old auntie in Australia who's not really understanding socialization. I mean, of course you wouldn't. 92, you don't need a big issue like this to get your head around at 92. You just want to sit and chill out, indulge in Netflix. That's my plan when I'm 92. So, you know, amazing to connect and just be kind during that time. All the stuff we're talking about, it doesn't take a lot. It's not huge. Let's talk about gears. There are 5 gears, ways of being. And if you didn't get into this before, this is critical now. 5th gear is all about focus, right? It's like everyone's out there and I am in here and I am focused, I am working, I'm being productive. 5th gear is great. You can't live in 5th gear. I mean, you can't live in any of these gears, but you certainly can't live in 5th gear. And for a lot of people, a technique when they're in control and suddenly they burst into chaos is to try and get back in control and just focus, focus, focus. What we're missing is that chaos gives us an opportunity. Between control and chaos is complexity. And complexity is where you can grow. You can't grow from control because you're too comfortable. You can't grow when you're in chaos because it's too manic. But between those two, complexity, that's where you can grow. And if you're in focus mode the whole time, you don't give yourself any time to indulge in complexity because you're trying to stay in control. So focus mode is important. Set times out for that, but you can't live like that. The next one is task mode. Gear 4 is task mode. Well, you're doing stuff, but you're multitasking. You know, you're chatting to one person, chatting to someone else, doing somewhere, answering emails, working, and then the email pops up and you're doing emails as well. That's multitasking. So you're doing lots of stuff, but not to any depth. The third one is social. This is my favorite gear. Third one is where you connect with people just for the sake of chatting. I love This Country. It's on BBC iPlayer. Hilarious. Daisy May Cooper and her brother. Absolutely hilarious. And he taught one of the characters in there talks about having a natter with his nan. And his cousin's going, what's the difference between a natter and a chat? And he's like, well, a natter is where you just talk about unrelated subjects and you don't have any flow. A chat is different. Well, how long does a natter go on for? Well, it goes on for as long as until you feel better, doesn't it? So I'm really up for nattering. But just having a time when you're talking because you're human and they're human. That's social time, gear 3. You can't spend all your time in gear 3, although party people like it there. You can't spend all your time there. Gear 2 is connecting, really being deeply present with the people you're with. This is really good to do with the people who are closest to you, your family and your friends. Plan time and use the language. Say, guys, let's spend some time in 2nd gear. Let's earmark some time for 2nd gear. Let's move from 3rd gear into 2nd gear and have a complex, deep conversation rather than just flitting around. How are you? Great, me too. And 1st gear is recharging. We just cut off, you unplug from everywhere else and you just sit. And that for you might be reading a book, going for a walk, binging on Netflix. It doesn't matter what it is, but unplug. You need time for all 5 gears. I've missed a gear, reverse gear. That's when you've been an idiot and you need to go and apologize. Okay, we all have reverse gear, but we don't often get into it. So which gear do you spend? Which gear makes you feel safest? Which gear do you enjoy spending time in? Which one sounds more appealing? Tell me in the chat. Is it 5th gear, focus, just getting on with stuff and getting stuff done and being productive? 4th gear, where you're multitasking? 3rd gear, where you're being social with people? 2nd gear, where you're really present with people and connecting? Or 1st gear, where you're recharging? Which gear do you like first? Oh, listen, Jer, I spend most of my time in reverse because I think out loud and then I'm like, I am so sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But yes, 5th gear, what have we got? People are coming up with 5th gear, focus. Yeah, we're trained for that, aren't we? 3rd gear, social, 3rd and 4th. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But I can't multitask. So I can't do 4. Well, how are you doing? Are you planning 5, 3, 2 and 1 all separately then? Gear 1, recharge. I mean, all these gears are great. What I'm saying is you need to plan your day with a structure that includes all 5 gears and leave space for reverse just in case. Because there's our nature and then there's nurture and there's choice. And it might be that your nature is you take a lot of energy from being alone and reflective. But the job you work in requires you to be an extrovert, entertaining and connecting. So actually, you need to spend most of your time doing where your natural strengths are, not the learned behavior, because that's what makes you exhausted. So plan your time accordingly. If you're someone who loves being with people, plan some 3rd gear, but don't spend all your time in that. Make sure you recharge as well so you can show up for them. Reverse gear. I mean, people are spending times in all 5 gears in the day. I mean, literally, I plan my day by gear. I don't make a to-do list. I gave up that years ago. I make to-be lists and to feel lists. I make a list. How do I want to feel at the end of this meeting, at the end of this day? And very rarely do I write bitter, twisted, knackered, and angry on my to feel list, because that would make me criminally insane. Why would I plan for that? So what I do plan is I go, right, what makes me feel good? What do I need? What would, if I was left to me, I wouldn't plan any of it. And for me, it's first gear, recharging. I just keep going and going. So, and then I make sure I've got recharge on the menu. Some of them need to be more planned for now. Absolutely, Lou. Yeah, some do need to plan. I would argue that I would always plan like this. I'm on the road a lot, so I'm doing a lot of gear 3, socializing. I'm doing a lot of 4, multitasking. I don't get a lot of time for focus, and I don't get a lot of time for recharge and connect. So I make sure over the period of a month where I might be away for 4 days that I balance that out. So if I've done gear 3 for 4 days, I make sure that I'm getting recharge in as well. So I can't do it over a week because I don't have a routine of a day, but I spread it out over a month. Although now, much more routine. So much more able to spread it out. So I would say look at your week and just count the one you're weakest at. Just check that that's actually appeared in there over the week. Because if it hasn't, this isn't about surviving. I'm not giving you advice to survive. Surviving is the lowest goal you can. I really hope I just get through the day. I mean, what a low bar, for crying out loud. Just lie in bed. You're probably not going to drop dead. You're probably going to keep breathing. That's a really low goal. I'm talking about thriving during this time. I'm talking about reimagining, resetting, pivoting, and thriving. It's a much higher goal than just getting through it. And I know it's a big ask for a lot of people. Third gear is my favorite. I can only see the first 3 letters of your name. So it says Geo. I'm presuming you're George or Georgina or Georgiathan, maybe. Anyway, Geo says, third gear is my favorite, but it's not easy to plan nowadays. It's true. We have to get creative. Because Generation C, Generation Cowboy, Generation C, creativity. This is a time when creativity is going to burst because you have to find ways to solve problems, or you don't solve the problems. So you can choose to say, I am taking no action to solve this problem, or you can choose to say, I'm trying to find a way through this. I've tried 17 ways. None of them worked. Well, good for you, because success is just someone who failed lots of times and got back up. So aim to fail. Find ways that don't work of you connecting, so you can cross them off the list and get to the one that does work. I also made on my notes that I really wanted to talk about background of my story, because I know I'm sort of saying all this, nobody really knows me, I could be anyone, I'm nice. I met Jem at a conference, at her Braver conference, and Brave is really what I talk about. As I was growing up, I always think there's 2 types of people, 2 types of kids. There are chaos navigators and order navigators. And we're all chaos navigators at the minute, because chaos navigation just means there's something that's drawing your resources in. I was someone who, as a child, like an order navigator, would know their love. They'd have a bed, they'd have a washing machine, they'd have someone who looked after them. You know, they'd have their uniform, turn up to school. And school's kind of designed for order navigators. My kids are order navigators, and, you know, you go to school and you get challenged and it's all good. Chaos navigators might not speak the language of the country they're in. Maybe their grandma's just died. Maybe they're trying to protect their younger siblings from the physical abuse from their dad. Maybe their sister's boyfriend's just moved in and is now pressuring them to sell drugs at school. Chaos navigators, if they turn up to school in the morning, if they turn up, and it's a miracle if they do, it's not easy because the system isn't designed for them. So they have to try and navigate their way through that. And that was me. I was a chaos navigator. I was in and out of foster care all the time. I spent some time on the streets. I was, you know, physically, mentally, emotionally, and sexually abused by my parents. And I've got a TED talk. I'm going to put it in the chat, actually. Well, it'll get lost. I'm sure Gemma will share it at the end. But the TED talk kind of explains about reframing and how I did that. And I'm telling you this because I want you to understand that I'm not just waxing lyrical. I am living this with you. I am in the state. When I was growing up, for me, it was all about survival. Just getting through, that was the most important thing. And what it did is, you know, it caused me to dominate myself as a leader. I led myself in quite a dominating way, where I set myself incredibly high challenges and gave myself no support, no compassion, just go, 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 go. And yeah, it meant that I survived. But I've had to do so much work on learning to be a human, be human first, learning to be able to connect with myself and see what I need. All the stuff I'm sharing with you is the reason I'm not dead. Because I have lived through complete chaos, absolute terror and fear. Like as soon as this started, immediately I jumped back to being in the house with my stepdad at bedtime when I'm in my bedroom and I know he's coming upstairs. I haven't thought about that because I've had lots of therapy, not because I've been sitting on my bed crossing my fingers hoping it turns out I've done the work, but I haven't been transported or thought about that for, I don't know, 35 years. And suddenly it was the reality of nothing is safe, there's nowhere to hide, this is happening. That hit. So when I say to you, the stuff I'm saying now about getting through this, I'm not talking from a position of I've read a few books and this is how it works. I've written books on this. I speak about this all the time and I am living it as we go along. What I learned is that you can dominate yourself, you can dominate other people in leadership, you can give them high challenge and low support, and they'll do stuff, it'll get done, but they'll be scared. They'll be doing it because they're compliant, not because they're committed. And I think many of us have had, you know, leaders or people we're in relationships with who have been dominating, who have led us in a way that gives us high challenge and very low support. And what that does is it means you'll do it, but you'll do it because you're scared. Now, at the minute, we can lead others like that, but we can lead ourselves like that as well. And I spent a lot of time leading myself with this fear and this threat over myself. Like I didn't, even once the abuse had stopped and I'd come out of foster care and I was, you know, living independently, there was all the issues around that, but I still I still let fear drive the bus the whole time. And obviously I'm going to have mental health issues. I'm going to be depressed. I'm going to not want to be on the planet. I mean, all of that stuff is just basic psychology. And the difference for me was when I realized the power of challenge and choice. And that's where we are now. It's that raw, that we can realize that challenge and choice that faces us. And rather than speaking about someone who is being done to, we talk about what we're choosing to do. Because right now, choice is the one thing you have got. And the focus on what you have got rather than what you haven't got is the thing that will get you through this. So what have you got? What do you have? What do you have now at your fingertips? What resources do you have? And I'm including people in that. Make a list. Tell me in the chat, what do you have? You start basic. Look around you. You know, you've got light, heat, power, air, internet. That's quite a lot. You know, we're not being time, outdoor space. What else? What do you have? Look around. Tell me in the chat, what do you have? This is critically important. Sunshine, love, things that, and we can say compassion, love, resilience, time, space, family, health. That is not to be taken for granted ever, especially not now. Determination to get through this together. Thank you. Yes. I want you to write these things down because later on tonight, when we put who's doing the country now, whoever's running it, now Boris is laid up, whoever comes on, you know, Michael Give, I'm calling him because I can't connect with Michael Gove because I was in education when he tried to tear it apart. Anyway, Michael Give, new Michael Gove, reframed. When he's talking later on and talking, loo roll, you have loo roll, Liz, we're all coming round. You should not have put that. Later on when we're sat there and we watch the news and we see the beds in the hospitals and we hear the NHS stories crying, that's when it all hits. And in that moment, what I want you to do is look back at this list and say, what do I have now? I need more answers. What do I have? Normality, love, family, the opportunity to choose, the ability to grow, a mentor, positivity, family, thinking space, a future, being loved. Just be able to go out without thinking, can I? Yeah, at the moment. Support, technology, time. I mean, you know, take these away, it's a different story. Because right now, a chef living with you, and just put your address in. All I'm going to do is look through the window. I'm not going to come in, but I'm going to come to yours. I'm just going to dream this. Oh my gosh, I would kill to have a chef living with me. In fact, I know a chef. Oh, just let my house, what we do, because I spent so many Christmases on my own, and I know how hard. Have a house full of ragtag kind of randoms at Christmas. We're on a website called Borrow My Doggy. We used to take this guy's dog for a walk, and then I had his dog on Christmas Day. I'm like, do you want to come? So he came too. Literally anyone can come Christmas Day. So this Christmas just gone, I'm doing my usual, who's going to be on their own? And I've got this friend who is living in a hotel at the minute because his house flooded, he's a teacher, the stuff goes through the ceiling, it's a nightmare, he's got 2 kids. So they moved him out. It was rented accommodation. They moved him out. So he's living in a hotel and he teaches catering. He's the chef. He used to work in a hotel. So I invite him for dinner. And then it kind of dawns on me, he must be missing cooking. He must be missing having a kitchen because he's in a hotel. And I go, hey, AJ, you know, when you're here at Christmas, if there's any chance that you'd like to do some of the cooking or all of the cooking, please feel free. Please use my kitchen. And he was excited. He loved it. So I had a great Christmas wearing a reindeer hat and drinking gin and tonic while AJ cooked the dinner, played basketball halfway through, and showed me how to use my hob, which I've had for 3 years and not known what the B button does. It's boost, just in case anyone has also got the same hob. Absolutely amazing guy. So I received so much and learned so much just from watching him. But also it's that thing of I actually open the house and inviting people in. Because right now, if you need something, make a request. If you need help, now is not the time to be shy. Ask for help. And if you don't need help, then offer it. If you're in a position where you have provision, then share it. Because right now, that's what's needed. We don't get through this on our own. As I told the woman in Aldi, who was pushing my trolley out the way because I took too long thinking about which beans to buy, she pushed my trolley and said, "You're taking too long." And I said, "Do you know what? We all get through this together. So let's be kind to each other. Because that's how we get through." So I'm taking too long. I'll move out of the way. You go get what you need. Because we don't get through this by fighting against each other. What's the point of being that? What if the last person, right, we all fight, and the last person to survive is the most selfish person? Why do we want to leave the earth in their hands? That's a stupid idea. We're compelled to be kind right now. Not just because it's easier, but because we are creating our future. You don't want to be around people who are idiots. I delivered orders for our village shop today. It felt so good. Yes, I volunteered for the NHS chit chat line. You know when you call people up, because boy, do I love a talk. You can just call people up and talk. And I volunteered to drive stuff around as well. So I'm doing that. There's like 750,000 volunteers. They're having to check everyone. But if you haven't, go volunteer for that. It's going to be great. The opportunity to experience things like this, things like me. Nick, bless you. Thank you for that. You know, I spent a lot of time scared, and outwardly being an extrovert and being engaging and having all these friends and doing all this great stuff, changing the world. And then I would come home and I'd just be like, because I didn't invest in any of the things I needed. It was all about doing things for other people the whole time, which is a great thing, unless you don't put anything in yourself. I mean, it's like, yeah, I did a video the other day with a cup and saucer where you've got to fill your cup up with tea till it's overflowing into the saucer. Then you can feed others from the saucer. There's no point serving others from your cup because they will drink. They're greedy. They're greedy. They'll drink and there'll be nothing left for you. So that's a stupid strategy. That's a foolish strategy to entail, where you give up yourself when you're not flowing over yourself. So you have got to find ways of investing in you so that you're 100%, so that you can give. And this is like a daily practice. This is minute by minute for me. I've got 3 kids. There's always somebody wanting some they eat like 3, they want 3 meals a day. Is that normal? Is that not the amount of food they can pack away? I never noticed it before when they were at school, but good Lord, we are single-handedly, we need a farm. We need our own farm. So there's always somebody that wants something from me. What I need to make sure is that I choose between the 2 G's, guilt and gratitude. This is your choice. It's all about choice. When you realize you're not spending a lot of time, fridge hoovers, yeah, exactly. When you're not spending a lot of time, when you're working, you've got your kids in the background, right? Which is, for people who remote work, that's my standard life. And I used to lie about meetings. I used to lie and say, I've got a meeting. Actually, I'm taking my kid to school. But for some reason, I was embarrassed about the fact that I was being an adult, human, female mother. Why am I trying to hide that? This is my bed. This is where I sleep, here. And other activities. But, you know, this is, welcome to my boudoir. This is it. I've got nothing to hide, have I? I mean, there's no point now. Life's changed. So just thinking about, I've lost my track. So I was thinking about volunteering then and all the different things we do. But what I did want to make sure that we covered was this idea around reframing feeling guilty. That's it, guilt and gratitude. So what was the 5th capital? The 5th capital, that's the 5th one is the first one I did. I always go in reverse order because I always wanted to be on Miss World when I was young. Old habits. The 5th one is focus. That's the one we're all really good at, where we're like, oh, I've got to get this done. And we put a lot of credence on it. We say, well, no, it's important. I must get this done. You know what some people do? I've seen this. Guys do it a lot. They're in focus mode. They're in 5th gear because it's their job. And their job is to work hard and ignore, try and take themselves out of the distractions of having a family. Because if they work hard and focus and work late and be away a lot and work hard, they're actually providing for their family. Well, yeah, you are. You're just stealing yourself from them. You are taking the finite resource you have, that is you, and you're investing it all in gear 5. And you're not putting any of it into the people that presumably at some point you wanted around. I mean, if that's changed, do say. But if it hasn't, what do you want? What do you want? What I've written letters, I write letters from my future self back to my current self. So when I was 45, because I'm 50 now, oh yeah, looking good. My 90, I was double the age, so my 90-year-old self wrote to my 45-year-old self, and she was, it turns out my 90-year-old self is so intelligent. Okay, first of all, she says, say yes more, especially if it involves friends and family and fun. Then she said, say no more, especially if it takes you away from your mission. My favourite one was number 3, make out with your husband more. That is a really good piece of advice, and has become my regular New Year's resolution. It's great. So the advice for my future self, I don't want to look back and go, oh, I wish, oh yeah, look at that, was disappointing. Hindsight is the gift that you can use now by channeling what you want to say in the future, what story you're writing. I'm writing chapter 49 of my life right now. If I don't like the way it's going, I can change it. I'm the one with the pen. 5th capital, right, we're going to go through the capitals and gears again, because I did 2 things. I do like a list. I do like a list. So the gears are, this is your way of being, the way of your sort of preferred way of being. The gears are, gear 1 is recharging. That's taking time for you, taking time out, recharging. Gear 2 is all about connecting. That's a deep conversation of complexity, not just how are you, what you're doing, really connecting with people. Gear 3 is all about, no, it's not, social. That's my favorite gear. How do I forget that? Gear 3 is all about having conversations with people. And the reason I like gear 3 is you can go very quickly up to multitasking, gear 4, or very quickly down to deep conversation when you're in gear 3. It's an agile gear. The gear 3 is social, having a chat with people, connecting, but you can go into deep conversation, or you can go up to level 4, and level 4 is multitasking. That's when you're working, but you've got emails pinging up at the same time, and you're chatting to your kid, and you're doing stuff, but you know, let's be honest, you can multitask, you do lots of things at once, but it's like you're a ball of energy, and energy is going out in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different directions. So you're going to get short bursts of energy. If you're a ball and you direct all your focus and energy at one thing, you're going to get a really long line, and you're going to make more progress in it. Both are valid, but it depends on what you want to do. Gear 4 is multitasking, and gear 5 is focus work. They're the gears. Now we're going to go on to the capital. That's a different list. So the capital, so let's just go through the gears one more time. First gear is, I've written it down because every time I say it, I forget it. First gear is recharge. Second gear is connecting on a deep level. Third gear is social, so having a chat with people. 4th gear is multitasking. And 5th gear is focus. Do not forget reverse, where you've been an arse and you need to say sorry. That's an important gear. Then we go on to the capital, the 5 types of capital you can invest in. This is Steve Cochrom's wisdom. The 5 types of capital, starting with the greatest and most valuable, number 5 is spiritual. 1 down from that is relational capital. 1 down from that is physical capital. 1 down from that, number 2, is intellectual capital. And the lowest form of capital that gives you the lowest return on investment is financial capital. I'm not saying, like, you can have millions and millions of dollars, right, and still have no relational capital. You could have a load of intelligence, but still have no physical or relational capital. So you can choose where you want to do. So the capitals one more time. Going from the beginning, from the lowest form, financial is 1. 2 is intellectual. 3 is physical. 4 is, as soon as I do this, I tell myself you don't know. 4 is relational, and 5 is spiritual. Financial, intellectual, physical, relational, spiritual. Jen will collate this list, and it's one of the resources that will go out. Also, it's on my website, which Jen will give you the website address at the end, and everything is on there. There's also a manifesto on there for everyday heroes, which some of you might like to indulge in. It's like a poster of all these inspirational comments, and if you click on one, it takes you to a video, 2-minute video of me talking about that as well. So, are we all good, Ibby, on the second capital? The second capital is intellectual. So it's financial then intellectual. All good, yeah, good. So I want to hear from you now. I want to hear, 1, which capital are you going to choose to invest in during this time? Make a commitment to yourself. Some of you put it up earlier, but I want you to make a commitment now. You can invest in more than one. Yeah, this is Britain, you can choose. But what are you going to invest in? What's going to give you the best return on that investment? What are you the story you're going to tell yourself in years to come? What are you going to be able to sing about? So I've got quite a few relational, 4, spiritual. I mean, I'm more spiritual. I'm not really into religion, but I'm very into faith. I'm very into I just don't like organized religion. I like to rebel. I don't like anything organized. But there is a lot to be said for a community of people who've got a higher order, believe in something bigger than just you on your own. A lot to be said for that. So spiritual, physical, intellectual, physical, and relational. Yeah, physical is critically important for you. Critically important. Spiritual, relational, and physical. Intellectual is fantastic because you could genuinely do all those courses that you always think, oh, I should do that, but I can't. Like I'm doing an Everyday Hero coaching course right now. Gemma can tell you details about it later. It's a fraction of what I would usually charge because I'm super expensive and I charge thousands. Because right now I know I can invest in people that can come out of this thriving, not surviving. I don't care. Surviving is such a low bar. Thriving. Most of us are going to survive. We're doing nothing at all. Thriving. 4 and 5. Jess has changed her mind. 4 and 5. I did see one or two. I'm like, okay, that's your choice. 4 and 5. Physical, relational, and spiritual. Relational, intellectual, and relational. Yeah, I mean, honestly, all these people who are saying 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, was financial a worry for you before you came on this call? Have you spent any time thinking about finance and money and how you're going to pay for stuff? Have you had any worries about that? Because that's usually the first thing that comes to mind. And what I'm inviting you to do is to choose to invest your time in, no, because my husband handles it. We can all do one of those. I'm encouraging you to invest your time in something that will make you proud at the end of this. I want you to turn around and say, you know, during that time, my biggest issue was this. I was worried about money. And so what I decided to do was invest in my intellectual and my physical and my relational capital. What a legacy. What a story to tell. Because here's the truth. Here's the truth. And if you take nothing else away, take this. You are only as powerful as the stories you tell. And if the story you're telling yourself right now is that I am scared, I am not good enough, I am spending all my time worrying about what's going to happen to my family, what if there's not enough food, what if someone I love dies, what if I get ill? If that's where you're choosing to invest your time, then that is the greatest story you can tell. And that story is not going to make it's not healthy for you, it's not going to make any changes for anyone else, it's not going to encourage those who you influence, those you look up to, who are living with you now or watching your every move. What story do you want to tell? Because if the story you want to tell is one of where you chose to invest in the face of adversity, where you came through chaos and you overcame adversity, you allowed yourself to be 10% braver than you usually would be every single freaking day. You chose to embed ambitious levels of resilience. You chose to stand. You chose to thrive. That's a powerful story. That's your story. If you want it, choose. But pick a side. Pick a side now and pick a side every single day. Because you're writing the story you're going to tell right now. And you are more powerful than you think you are. I hope some of this has been useful. I'm just going to go through some of these and then I know that Jem's going to jump back on. Although I could be here for days. Do you want all come? Oh no, I was going to say, do you want all come around mine? Don't. But come outside and stand outside 6 meters apart and I'll wait. But let's do this again. I love this stuff. I love connecting. I'm just scrolling down a bit here. So true. Amen, sister. Do you know what I'm loving at the minute? One thing I am investing in, RuPaul's Drag Race. Okay, because first of all, I didn't watch it, right? Because I didn't know that RuPaul wasn't a woman. And I thought it was about cars. Why do I want to watch a program about racing cars? So sorry, Ellie. I know F1's the big deal, but I don't want to watch a program where some fit woman talks about cars. I'm not interested in either of those things. And then I realized it was about drag. So I've watched every season. I'm rewatching them all again because that show is about belonging and identity. That's what it's about. It's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I digress. You should all watch RuPaul's Drag Race. It's so cool. And then we can all do this and say, like, good God, girl, get it on, and things like that. Don't get me started. I desperately want to be a drag queen. That's my next reality TV experience. Question, on the 5 other points you mentioned earlier, how can you be mindful when you're multitasking? Is it monotasking, single tasking, the better approach to this, being more attentive? Yeah, cool. Here's the deal. We all have tendencies. My tendency is to try and do more than is physically possible, to try and pack more in. That's a tendency. Now, the tendency I have leads to actions, which leads to consequences, which leads to a reality. So previously, when I wasn't aware of this tendency, the actions I would take is that I would try and do so much and get exhausted and end up hating the people I'm trying to serve. Then the consequences of that would be people wouldn't feel safe around me or wouldn't trust me or would be like, oh, she can flick like that. And the reality was that I couldn't serve people because I just got overwhelmed and stopped, which fed into my, I must work harder to try and serve people and try and do too much. So it just a vicious circle. But in order to lead myself, I had to know myself a bit more. So what we can do, we can't change tendencies, reality, consequences. We can't change that. We can hack the journey between the tendency and the action you take. So my tendency to stay in gear 5 and focus the whole time, I use that as a springboard for going, okay, does this fit in with my future narrative? Does this fit in with the vision I want, with my to feel list? Does this fit in with who I want to be at the end of the week? If it does, fantastic. But I know I've got to offset that with some social time and some recharge time. If it doesn't, let's stop now. Let's stop now, because I'm committed to the bigger picture. I'm not committed to the moment. I'm committed to the larger vision of what we're trying to do. Does that answer your question, Lynn? Hope so. Feels more mindful whenever I'm multitasking. Oh yeah, honestly, I mean, I can multitask and I tell myself I'm doing really well because I'm answering emails and I'm sending this and I'm writing this document and I've got like, you can tell you've got 40 tabs open on your browser and you're looking at all this different stuff and doing it. You know, that's a tendency of mine, and I know that I don't go as far when I'm trying to do lots of little things. So I just focus. I use Pomodoro. I focus for 35 minutes on doing one thing, and then I stop and I go, you know what, Jaz, well done, you did 35 minutes on that, good on you. So what, you still got 1,000 emails, you answered 20, that is, give yourself a high five yourself. That's what I do. And then I do another 35 minutes, because celebration is really important in this. Oh, look at you guys, love your spirit, thank you, go girl, yes queen, click click click. Don't get me started. I could just do a whole webinar on RuPaul's Drag Race. Let's not do that. And Queer Eye. Yeah, I love Carlton Cresley. So I'm original Queer Eye girl. Love your energy. Thank you. Why have I got this energy? Why am I like this? Because I spend time in all 5 gears. So this gear is reasonable, because after this, I'm going to sit down and have a crumpet. And that's not a euphemism. I'm actually going to imbibe a crumpet. So because that's my recharge time. And then I'll go on and do something around. I'm going to go into focus gear 5 next. Do some focus stuff. Very inspirational. Thank you so much. Fear is not driving my bus, because I'm living the dream, guys. Get yourself a t-shirt. Once you've got a t-shirt, you kind of have to do it. Guys, I'm going to let Gemma jump back in, but I want to say, like, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Not just for this. Thank you on behalf of every person, little or otherwise, who relies on you being 100% you, because they're learning a way of being from you now. Your kids in particular might not remember the details of this crisis, but they will remember how you were. My little boy, much as I've tried to protect him, came up to this morning and said he was worried there might not be any yogurts left in the supermarket and there's only one left, should he eat it? And I got a choice. I could choose guilt or gratitude. Gratitude that he's shared this with me and I can talk him with it, or guilt that I feel bad because I've said something to make him worry. I chose gratitude. I said, I'm really glad you brought that to me. Let me reassure you, there's plenty of food. We all went a bit mad trying to buy stuff, but actually there's plenty of food. Daddy's going shopping today. You can have that yogurt, it's going to be fine. He will remember how I am. So your way of being is your gift to the people who love you. Make it a good one. Over to you, Gemma.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Stay on there, Jaz, whilst I wrap up. All I'm seeing but I'm saying is inspirational, and you really are. I'm looking at you now because you are just amazing. I feel blessed, genuinely blessed to have you in my life, and I feel like I need to after this, when we send all your tips, if you're cool, I think we should send that picture of you in a banana, because I just think that just brings you to life.
I was going to wear that costume.
And maybe next time we can talk about, you know, your blind date experience. Actually, she went on blind date, she went on The Apprentice. Everything that you've just seen today, guys, Jaz is that and more. She's got the most powerful story, and she tells it, and she tells it brilliantly. This series was designed for everyone, for our members and our wider community, to reframe, to pivot, and most importantly, to see the opportunity. And Jaz, you've done that for us in such a big way today. And I've got a million takeouts, and we are going to provide them, because quite a few members are writing to me privately and saying, I can't write quick enough, I need you to censor, capture all of it. So it's going to be recorded, but also we're going to make sure you've got the different systems, gears and what have you as well. But I think the big message is it's about choice, and it's about what you've got rather than what you haven't got. And I think we all really needed this today. So thank you. It's about being kind, and as you said, doing this together. That's the way we're going to get through it. So guys, if you've enjoyed this, a poll is about to come up on your screen in a second. I think you have. I think it's fair to say. And actually, on the opportunity thing, we would never have done this if this wasn't for the new normal. And this is such a massive opportunity for us as a society. And what's so brilliant is I'm seeing people from India, from Dubai, from New York, from Hong Kong, from Singapore. So we're truly becoming a really globally connected community. Next week, we're so excited to say we have a session coming up at 1 o'clock. I never know the right way to say times, but UK time, GST. What is it, the letters? Do you remember them?
BST now.
BST.
Thank you, Linda. Brilliant. That's why you have a team. BST with Marcus Smith at 1 p.m. next Wednesday. He is an ultra endurance athlete. He's run 30 marathons in 30 days, and that was just after he nearly died. So he is all about keep calm and be resilient. But for now, I just want to leave you with Jaz's website, which is www.jazampaw-farr.com, and she is offering, as she said, at Still, her 10% Be Braver coaching on her website. I'm certainly going to take it. We've already got that agreement anyway, that I'm going to be one of her new customers, and I'm sure there will be many others today. So Jaz, thank you so much for inspiring us. Thank you for giving us what we needed, and really looking forward to seeing you all at 1 o'clock next Wednesday. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.